My favorite thing about Smash Ultimate is just how many characters there are, and I love learning about every single nuance of every single character. With that in mind, a lot of people don't like that, and for a lot of people, maybe you just don't have enough time to learn all that. Sometimes you may play against a random character that you've never played against and think, you know what the heck do I even do? And hopefully today, I can help you guys out with that. Hopefully today, I can tell you guys kind of the basics on how to beat every single character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The basics on, how you want to play, how you want to change your playstyle versus them. The basics on a lot of their jank that you can mainly avoid and mainly think about a lot when you're playing against that character. And of course, this is just my own opinion, so if you have your own or you think that your playstyle is a lot better versus these characters, please tell me down in the comment section down below because there are a ton of characters. With that in mind, I'm also trying to hit 50k subs before summer ends because that's kind of the only goal on YouTube right now because YouTube doesn't really pay anything. So if you enjoy this video at all, if you think it's interesting, I'd really appreciate for you to press that subscribe button. Only about 10% of you guys watching this are subscribed. With that in mind though, guys, let's get going. Before we get to the characters, this video has been sponsored by Skillshare. Now, during the pandemic, I found myself unable to hit a job, unable to play at Smash tournaments, and overall just with a lot of free time on my hands. And while having more time to play games itself is great, it's also been one of the first times in my life that I just had time to focus on improving myself, and today's sponsor, Skillshare, has been a big part of my path to self-improvement. Now, if you love improving yourself, learning and exploring new things in competitive Smash, but want to branch out a little bit in other aspects of life, I can definitely recommend Skillshare. Skillshare offers thousands of impactful classes, including topics on video, web development, fine art, animation, film, and a ton more. Just like all the Smash Bros videos on this channel, Skillshare ranges from beginning guides to advanced tips for the experts. There's always something to learn and creativity to flourish. Now, Skillshare has classes to fit any skill level, any schedule, with many classes actually underneath 60 minutes, allowing you to fit them in easily into your daily schedule. Personal favorite course on Skillshare that I definitely recommend any of you trying to get into YouTube and kind of lacking an eye for good thumbnails would be the Graphic Design Basics Core Principle class by Ellen Lipton and Cooper Whitt. A specific skill I learned from this course was visual hierarchy and how you can actually lead the eye of your viewer to exactly where they should be looking at. Overall, it's a great course, simple, easy to understand, and quick to the point, and all underneath 40 minutes. Now, if this all sounds interesting, and if you're interested in supporting my channel, I'd highly recommend Skillshare with the link in the description below, and start taking classes as a member today. It's as little as $10 a month, and you can give yourself a wide variety of things to discover. As an added bonus, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click on the link in the description below will get 2 free months of premium membership for Skillshare, so you can explore your creativity today for free today. So make sure to check it out in the link below if that sounds interesting, and let's get going. Mario is a character that has a really good, well-rounded playstyle, and with that comes the fact that there's no just one thing you can do to always beat him. But there are some things that can really help. Now, first off, if you have a sword character secondary, pulling that out against the average Mario, it's going to help you a lot. But I don't really want to focus too much on going on secondaries. Specifically with Mario, though, with a character without too many weaknesses, that can be a thing you could possibly do. Now, the main thing I like to think when I'm playing against Mario as far as playstyle goes is the fact that Mario has a lot of really fast buttons. Mario has a lot of really spammable buttons, from his back air to his neutral air to his forward tilt, even sometimes his grab. He has a lot of stuff you can go for a lot. And what does that do? Well, it leads to, at least in my experience, the vast majority of Mario's chucking out a ton of stuff. And a lot of times, myself, I'm thinking, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to throw out even more buttons and try to beat him like that. And no, that doesn't really work. That's kind of a trick that happens to you in a lot of cases against this character. So what should you do instead? Well, instead I'm going to say, actually throw out a little bit less buttons. Be a lot more calculated about what buttons you're throwing out where. In a lot of senses, play a little bit more defensive. Make so that he has to throw them out first, make so that you can kind of dodge those, and then hit him right after. Donkey Kong's going to be the first character in a trend that you'll be seeing, which is that a lot of characters in this game actually can't approach way too much. And once you figure out in your brain that you don't always have to hold in, and that you can play the game without always holding in, you're going to have a lot more success against a lot of characters, and Donkey Kong is definitely one of those. Donkey Kong's forward tilt, up tilt, even neutral B, a lot of his moves are really good when your opponent is running at you. He's really good at, just kind of punching your opponent out in pretty close range. I guess kind of medium range, because, the disjointed arms. But if you're just kind of waiting for Donkey Kong, and you're slowly pushing up, like you're slowly walking forward, and then he has to attack you, and you're just kind of waiting, you're just kind of chilling, then he doesn't have that many options. He could try to dash attack you, but you can easily shield that. He can try to run and grab you, but you can easily jump over that and then hit him. It's pretty dang obvious because Donkey Kong's pretty big. He can only pretty much, dash attack or grab. Or he could try to just back air spam you, but what you can do against that is get above the back air spam. Or you can just kind of wait for it because he eventually will have to land, and then you can catch his landing and get a dash attack for free. I think that's kind of the main thing to think about Donkey Kong. Just don't feel like you always have to go in, and if you stop going in a lot of times, you just start winning against him. Moving on to the first quote-unquote projectile spammer type character with Link, I think the most important thing to keep in mind when playing against these characters is that you don't have to get in on them right now. You don't always have to be directly in their face 24/7, and if you're not, you're failing. Sometimes they will throw projectiles, and sometimes you will have to be patient. You have to slowly walk towards them, slowly parry those projectiles, and move in like that. And I think that's the number one thing to keep in mind against a lot of these characters. You don't have to always be running. You don't have to always be going in. You do want to be, approaching. You do want to be giving them less and less space, but it doesn't have to be super fast. You have time. You have 7 minutes to play this game. So that's kind of the main thing to keep about against Link. Now, do also keep in mind, though, that once you slowly push in, once you slowly jump over his projectiles, and you don't rush it, and you don't take way too much damage, that once you're in there, you want to be in there. You want to just make sure that you are keeping Link above you, because all he has is a down air. And against his down air, I know a lot of you guys will get caught by that. But if instead of staying directly underneath Link, you stay diagonally underneath Link, he can't do anything. Like, he'll go for down air, then you can jump up, hit him with a back air. He'd go for neutral air, you can hit him with an up air with most characters. And yeah, he's just kind of screwed in that sense. So that's a really good thing to go for. And of course, hitting him off stage, hitting his recovery is pretty dang easy. That's, I think, the main things to do. I guess a final thing against Link is that if he pulls his down B, his recovery, or his bomb, in a lot of senses, that's when you want to, like, go ham. Because if you can happen to get him off stage while his down B is on the stage, then, like, he's just dead. Moving on to Samus, we got ourselves another projectile character. So, of course, the classic, walk a lot, be a lot more patient than you really want to be. Those still work greatly against this character. But I guess another thing that's really important to remember about Samus is that Samus specifically actually kind of has like a weird zone right in front of her, especially when she's trying to jump or anything like that, where she can't really like hit you super fast. Let's say that you're playing most of the characters and you just kind of start spamming jump right in front of Samus, and then you're spamming short hop. She has to go for a forward air. Well, if you're like diagonally below her, like at all, her forward air won't really catch you. It's going to be pretty slow and you can hit her first. And that's like one of the things that I've been using a lot to kind of start getting advantage on her, and then kind of play from there. Now, a second thing to remember about Samus is that she does have her up B out of shield. So if you play against a Samus that up B's out of shield a lot, a good thing to do is to like jump towards her, pretend that you're going to land on her shield with the aerial, because you probably had the last 20 times, and then just like move back and do nothing. And then just wait for her to up B out of shield. And she's probably going to do it. She's one of the Samuses that is very, very prone to doing that. And there you go. Now you caught her. Now you can do that a few more times. And then from there, she'll never know if you're going to actually jump on her shield and attack her or not. And it finally gives you like a 50-50 on your pressure. I feel like the main mindset about trying to not outspam Mario also works a lot against Yoshi. He's a character that has a lot of abilities that you can just kind of check out a lot of aerials, a lot of tilts, so you can kind of just throw out quite a bit. So that's a thing that I'd also recommend against this character. But another thing that I specifically recommend against Yoshi is that when you get Yoshi off stage, instead of trying to chase him all the way to the blast zone every single time, which a lot of people do, and instead of him just jumping back on stage above you and you just get nothing out of it, a great thing to do is to actually go back onto the stage and just kind of wait to where he has to land, because you have to realize that while Yoshi has a really good recovery to like get near the stage, he doesn't really have that many amazing actual landing options, and especially getting off ledge, he doesn't have that many amazing ones of those either. So if he gets to the ledge, or if he has to land underneath you, well, you're in good shape. You can just pretty much get a free hit from there and hopefully keep him in disadvantage. Okay, I'll be short and sweet and simple against Kirby. If you want to beat this character and you're most of the cast, all you really have to do is just play in a way where he can never hit you. As in, he's very slow, he has very slow airspeed and not that great ground speed. So if you just kind of like jump towards him and then jump away and have him try to use an attack, then you can just throw out your own attack, you're gonna win. If you just camp him out with any campy character in the entire game or any sword character, you're gonna win. It's as simple as that. You don't usually have to do that. Most people don't have a problem at all with Kirby, but if you are having a problem, camping him out just kind of makes you win. A thing that a lot of Fox players have a problem with is you shielding a lot. And this is one thing that I personally have done quite a bit as Fox, and when I was playing Fox for a while, people did quite a bit against me. Shielding a little bit more against this character can be pretty strong, because if he grabs you, in a lot of senses, it doesn't do that much. If you are close to ledge, he can start getting a ledge trap against you, which he's pretty dang good at. But other than that, if you're like in the middle of the stage, he'll throw you above him, and then he doesn't get anything off of it, and it's like, And a lot of people with really good up the shields can just kind of beat him out. I feel like shielding a lot against Fox is a really great idea. Now, another thing you have to remember against Fox is that about like 90% to like 120% with soft nair and early percents for hard nair, he can go nair into up smash. So be very, very careful. The thing you have to realize about this, though, is that, if you're jumping a lot, the nair into up smash won't work that often, because unless he's hitting you while you're falling, like he catches your landing, in all the other senses, like if he hits you in the middle of the air, he's not going to be able to get the nair into up smash. He's not going to be able to get much. He's really going to have a hard time killing you, other than, of course, a sneaky back air. So jumping a lot can also work for him, at least my experience, pretty well. Not like full hopping, but, short hopping, being pretty defensive in that way. It can make you guys to be a lot more aggressive, go for a lot less safe ways to finish off the kill on you, and that's exactly what you want against Fox, because you want to just try to mess up, you want to kill him at early percents, and you want to get into positions where you can edge guard him, because he dies pretty easily there. With Pikachu, there's no jank strategy to beat this character because he has a good recovery, he has really good neutral, he has really good projectile, he has a good everything. So really the main thing is to just get a lot better at every sense of the game, which is like the most useless tip. Of course you want to do that. But I'll also say with this character, I think that's really important is learning how to SDI and learning how to DI throughout a lot of his combos, be it his back air loops where you just have to make sure you're holding out, be it against his nair loops, which you have to pick if you want to hold right or left, and kind of see what the Pikachu's doing, be it his up air trains. Just go online, look up how to DI Pikachu's combos, how to DI his up air, how to DI his neutral air. Make it as hard as possible on the Pikachu because sure, it may not make the matchup super easy, it's still going to be difficult, but you'll make it a little bit harder on him. He'll have to think a lot more during all these combos and get a lot less percent per combo, which is exactly what you want versus Pikachu because you want as many just possible chances to beat this character as possible. Okay, I'll be honest, if you really want to beat Luigi, the way you beat him is to A, pick a platform stage, and B, just stick on the platforms. And like, he can't do anything. It's really sad. If you just keep jumping on platforms, get a lead in platform camp, you'll see against a lot of characters that actually works. Now, it's up to you if you want to do that. If you can actually do that for 7 minutes, most people can't. But it works against him because Ness has quite a few annoying things, so I'll try to cover as much as I can. Now, first off, against his PK Fire, it's like a lot of other projectiles in this game. It doesn't have that much end lag, so really the way to beat it is instead of thinking about, after this PK Fire, I'm going to hit Ness, think of it like this. After the PK Fire, I'm going to jump over it. I'm going to be a little bit closer. I'm not going to hold all the way into Ness, but just a bit, and then I'll have more stage control. And that's good enough. And I think that's kind of the main way to play against PK Fire. Secondly, of course, he has a lot of mashing, like so much mashing. This character can mash more than like anything else. And I feel like a lot of characters can't actually beat him out in the air when he's mashing. So the main thing I like to try to do is just try to, wait for him to mash, wait for him to be in the air, and eventually through one of his attacks, he's going to have to land. And right there, you get him with a dash attack, you get him with a grab, get him with anything that you possibly can. You do have to be like so patient against Ness, which is just like, it's so annoying. You can't out mash this character, which is so annoying because a lot of people want to. So those are kind of the main things. As well, with a lot of characters, you can just kind of like nair through his up B, so keep that in mind, at least if it's like the big part of his up B, not of course the small part. So those are the main things I'm going to say. And DIing away from his down throw makes so that it actually doesn't combo at all, like ever. So that's just an important thing to keep in mind because some people still get hit by that. Okay, so this is kind of sad, but actually true. Abusing a lot of Falcon's like main bad mechanics that they added to this game is one of the easiest ways to beat him. First off, when Falcon turns, every time he turns around, it makes it that he like shifts his hurt box back. So if you just keep playing like running back and forth, so is he, you'll actually just straight up be in the advantage there because you can throw out attacks and hit him more often than he can hit you. So like just baiting the Falcon to thinking that he's doing some cool movement, that's like a good way to beat the character. As well, if you're one of the characters that is really short, or you can hold down to become short, like Snake, you can just kind of chill down there, and his only option is to like run up forward tilt you, because his jab is gonna miss, or to like run up really late nair you, like nair one you, and like both those aren't the best. So yeah, just making yourself short, it makes it so hard on Falcon. I guess the final thing to remember is just like rock crocking, where he's gonna up B you, and then you have to make sure that you tech off the stage, you jump, and then you just kill him. Like, yeah, it just kind of sucks for Falcon in a lot of situations. This character can be high, this character can do all that, but yeah, he does have those main weaknesses that if you can abuse, you can do pretty well versus. As well, I feel like this Falcon has pretty small hitboxes, so if you just kind of get memorized where his nair comes out, where his back air comes out, and if you just stay underneath his up air, you can actually just like play around his hitboxes pretty effectively, even though he is pretty fast. The main thing I like to do against Jigglypuff a lot is just like stay on the ground. She has a lot of really good aerials, she has really good air speed, but if you just stay on the ground, try to parry a lot of her back airs, and just go underneath her, and hit her when she eventually has to land, and then make so that she has to try to land underneath you with her very like big body that's also floaty, she's just going to be in trouble. You can do amazingly right there. Now, I'm also going to say a thing to keep in mind is that Jigglypuff just is so bad against campers and so bad against sword characters. So if you can play your character like a little bit more campy, or if you can just like use your sword a little bit more, she will very much struggle. Peach is one of those characters like a lot of other characters where she's just really good at a lot of stuff. So you can't just try to like jank around. There isn't just one thing that's going to beat Peach, but there is one thing that you should look out for a lot, and that's going to be landing nairs and down tilts, because those things lead into so much damage, especially early percents. And like that's like where she gets her 0 to 80s. If you notice, it's like always down tilt or always like landing nair into down tilt, rinse repeat. Now the thing to keep in mind is that these moves are A, really short range, and B, really specific in how they hit. With down tilt, you do have to be pretty close, and you do have to be on the ground. So guess what? If you're jumping a lot, if you're just kind of playing either really offensively, you don't jump past it and hit her, or defensively jump behind and then she has to try to go for that, she misses and then you hit her, that can work really well. With her neutral air, it only works again if you're on the ground in a certain position. So try your best to play not in that position. Try to see when the Peach is going for these moves and just play around them. I realized at a certain point that Bowser just requires so much patience, and I hate being patient in this game, but like, you just have to be patient against Bowser, because if Bowser has to hold in on you, if you just aren't going in, he doesn't have like any options. Like, think about it. What can he do? He can like run up side B, which you can easily dodge. You can like run up neutral B, you can easily dodge that. Run up dash attack, easily dodge that. Bowser's really good when you are attacking him, and then he can up B you out of shield. He can then shield you and side B grab you. He can just forward tilt through your moves. He can just smash attack through your own attacks with the super armor. That is when Bowser's good. So if you just never let him do that, it's kind of lame, but that can work against Bowser really, really well. He's one of those characters where it's like, you know, if you pick Bowser and that's your weakness, you're just gonna have to get used to it. And I guess other than that, like, making sure that Bowser never gets out of disadvantage can be pretty good. He's again one of those characters where if you're diagonally beneath him, like, he can neutral layer you, and that's about it. So, you know, pretty dang busted. And honestly, I like never see ice climbers, so I'll be short and sweet with this. The 3 times I've played against ice climbers in bracket, I have just platform camped them because I feel so bad saying that, but because they don't have anything they can do against that. They can like up air you, but it doesn't really do that much damage to your shield, and then you can just stay on the platform. They go for another up air, you quickly drop down because Nana has more lag than Popo, and then you hit the Nana, and then you go back to the platform, rinse repeat until eventually you just kill Nana, and then Popo's by herself or by himself, and then you can beat Popo pretty easily just in a normal 1v1. That's kind of the way. If you're really not being able to beat any of these characters, that's kind of the way. Now if they pick on FD, well, you may have to wait until the next round. The main way that you want to think about playing versus Sheik is that you don't want to necessarily win every neutral exchange, because you're simply not going to. She's a character that's just too fast, has too many good hitboxes, and can just, you know, be way too safe. What you want to do is try to trade as much as possible. Try to see when the Sheik goes in and try to, you know, hit your attacks when she hits her attacks, because if you do that, that's exactly what the Sheik doesn't want to do. If you just make sure that every time she goes in, you're checking out attacks at the same time, you're getting used to her pattern, well, guess what? She's going to be doing like 5% to you. You're doing like 12% or even more depending on your character if you're heavyweight. And guess what? You're going to be winning that game. You're going to be just demolishing her if you just keep doing that. So I think that's kind of the main mindset to keep against Sheik. And yeah, also I guess as well, just try to make sure that she has very specific angles, like following neutral B. That's a very specific angle of short hop that you have to look out for. But if you can't get used to that, then you can't get her following neutral B into like forward tilt into up smash stuff. So yeah, learning a lot of her kill confirms can be useful, but mainly just trying to trade is the most useful thing. As you'll notice with a lot of the characters that people just don't like to play about, the main way to beat them is just to kind of wait right outside their range and wait for them to do something, because they can just kind of react otherwise. And Zelda is like the epitome of that type of character. If you just keep jumping on her, she's just going to keep neutral being you. If you keep hitting your shield, she'll just keep up being you. She'll just keep doing that literally forever. Otherwise, she's just going to be spamming down B pretty much all the game. So how do you beat that? Well, the main way to do that is A, to either like out spam her, because you can actually just hit her and then her down B will disappear. So that's pretty dang nice. Or secondarily, just have her out B, have her down B, just patiently wait like across the stage for the down B to finally go off. Then you go close, you try to hit her, or you just try to get a lot of stage control. So try to use it again, you just wait again, and then just kind of go from there. Zelda is again another character where she has literally no approach options. So if you are super patient with pretty much any character, you will win that game. If you do get really impatient though, you will lose that game. The main thing to keep in mind about a lot of slow characters like Dr. Mario, Ganondorf, and Incineroar, all those characters, is that there's 2 main things you can do against them. First off, you can try to gimp them, which is just great, and just keep your main playstyle on trying to slowly walk up, get right next to the ledge, and like try to be really safe while you're doing it, and then eventually hit them off stage and try to kill them at early percents. That's a really good strategy. And secondly, a really good thing to do is just to realize that these characters cannot catch up to you. So essentially every single matchup is like you're playing Sonic and they're playing another character. So you can really just make so that they have to act first. You can make so they have to throw out their attack first, and then you counterattack, and then you're really safe with that, and it just kind of works. Against Dr. Mario, especially a character that doesn't have that much range, it just kind of works even better in a lot of senses. Kind of annoying for the Dr. Mario player, but that's the thing to keep in mind. As well, Dr. Mario, just keep in mind that if you're at the ledge, and you're just standing at the ledge, don't shield at the ledge, because he can down throw, down B you at like 40% and you're gonna die. That's just like a cheese strat that he has. Just keep that in mind and you'll be fine. Okay, so as you probably noticed by now, there's actually just a lot of characters in Smash where the main way to beat them is to kind of lame them out, and that's just kind of how platform fighters work. So I'm sorry if that's like ruining your dreams of you can just out-hype everyone. You can if you're way better than every other character, or if you're way better than every other player, but like if you're at similar skill levels, sometimes you do have to do that. But anyways, with Pichu, I think that's kind of the epitome of that, because if you're like equally skilled and you just keep going in and you just keep having the Pichu go in, he's gonna beat you because he has super great combos, he has really great kill power, and if you don't like abuse the lack of his, if you don't abuse abuse the fact that he has really small hitboxes, and if you don't abuse the fact that he damages himself all the time when he does damage or when he attacks, and if you don't abuse the fact that like he can't actually projectile spam because he hurts himself way too much and you can outspam him, then you're probably going to lose. But if you do abuse all those, well, it's going to be really hard in the Pichu. And with that in mind, that's why like Void and a lot of these Pichus are doing worse and worse, because people are just playing a lot more defensive against them and they can't really do much about it, and it just kind of sucks. The thing you have to realize about Falco is that Falco is a character that has like a one button neutral, his up tilt. His up tilt is really fast, it starts huge combos, it's actually one of his kill confirms, it's everything. But if you just play right outside the up tilt range, and if you don't just jump right in front of him, which is a thing a lot of people do in this game because, you know, it's easy to short hop, spam aerials, all that stuff. If you don't do that, then Falco is just kind of in trouble. Like, he is really in trouble. So that's kind of the main thing to do, just not let his up tilt hit you, play out right outside his range, and then go super ham because his disadvantage is pretty darn bad, and his recovery is also terrible. I feel like with Marth, it's kind of like the opposite of a lot of these characters, where you actually do want to get in really close because you want to make so that's really hard for him to hit a lot of his tippers, and that's actually pretty dang easy in this game. So that's like kind of how I like to think about playing against that character. And against Lucina, the main thing to keep in mind is that she's a really good neutral. You can't really out neutral that much. But if you can get into a disadvantage, just focus a lot on trying to catch your landings, because like she has not that much, and try to focus a lot on just maximizing the amount of damage you get while she's above you, because he just doesn't have that much. She can try to counter you, she can try to downer you. Those shouldn't really work. Those are both really reactable. And like, if you can get good and makes Lucina takes 50-60% every time she's above you, you're gonna finally start winning that matchup, because if you can't, otherwise she's probably gonna out everything you the other way. Link's main weaknesses are A, that he doesn't really have that much range, B, that his tilts actually don't come out that fast and really aren't that big, and C, that his recovery is just kind of terrible. So one of the main things that I've been seeing a lot of people do against Young Link is just, you know, waiting a little bit right outside his range, especially if they have pretty big hitboxes, trying to out hitbox him and then get him to the ledge, get him off stage, and then kill him super early. That's kind of like the main thing you want to do against Young Link, the main thing you kind of want to think about against Young Link. Now as well, of course, against his projectiles, he has a plethora of projectiles, but kind of what you want to do against those is like with everyone else, play patient, play smart, slowly walk up, don't jump into them. And I also would recommend don't jump way too much, because you can easily jump neutral B and catch your jump a lot better than a lot of other projectile users. Whenever I'm playing against Ganondorf, I like to think of it as though I'm like the Flash and then Ganondorf is like the Hulk. If the Hulk hits you once, you're gonna be losing. But should the Hulk ever be able to hit you? No. Should the Hulk ever be able to get back on the stage? Probably not. Should the Hulk ever be able to get out of disadvantage? No. And that's the main thing you want to keep in mind against Ganondorf. You just want to play very evasive. You want to play very cat and mouse, very hit and run. Mewtwo's the one character that I feel like being really aggressive against can actually work a lot, because if the Mewtwo doesn't, you know, come back at you with aggression, he tries to run away, well, guess what? You have this giant tail hitbox that you can hit. And I think that's kind of like the main thing I kind of keep in mind, is that Mewtwo does have just a gigantic hitbox. And if I get him just like once, he's going to be in a terrible disadvantage. And that's kind of like what keeps me going against Mewtwo. Honestly, you won't see that many Mewtwo's. The other thing to keep in mind is that Mewtwo doesn't really have that many super great ways to get him off you. If you're behind him, he can like backer you and that's it, or if you get on his shield, he can like nair, but that doesn't really work that much either. So getting really close to Mewtwo, really close to and behind Mewtwo, if you do that, like, this character is just gonna fall apart. For a while I was gonna say I don't know how to actually beat Roy, but then I realized something that happened to me against one of my local players who plays Inkling, and that's that if you make so that Roy has to consistently overshoot, and if you just kind of like keep running towards him and then running super far back and then he misses his overshot, Roy's kind of in a lot of trouble in a lot of senses, because like if he misses his first landing aerial, he has to jump again, try to go for another aerial, but a lot of times like it'll be too late. Like you can just hit him before he goes for a second aerial because he has to get back in the air. Now what he could possibly do is go for a jab, but like again, you can just kind of wait that out a little bit, and I feel like that's kind of what you want to do. You kind of just want to like make some Royce to jump towards you, he misses you, and then you just whack him. Because like if you're just mashing against Roy, unless you're another mashy character, yeah, he will kind of definitely mash you pretty dang hard. Mr. Game & Watch is another person where like you just have to make so he approaches you. Like you just have to be patient, he'll approach you, because if you try to hit a shield, well guess what, you're gonna be taking 20, 30, 40%, and that's just how it is. And you just have to accept that's how the character is designed, and that's okay. That is simply okay. I guess as well, just keep in mind that against Game & Watch, a lot of times they will like spam a ton of smash attacks in a row, like down smash, up smash, or like down smash, forward smash. Just a lot of smash attacks. These are not punishable. If they happen to hit this on you, you will die. If they happen to miss it, it doesn't really matter. So just keep in mind that they cannot offensively use these moves, so just don't walk into them. Like, you want to, because their smash attacks you usually can, but just don't walk into them and you'll be fine. It does require a little bit more patience, but that's how Game & Watch works. I feel like Meta Knight just kind of like doesn't work in this game. So like if you just abuse the fact that he doesn't work, if you just like DI out of all of his up air combos, which you pretty much can now, if you just abuse the fact that like his down throw you can also DI out of now by just like holding out half the time, like he's not gonna do that much. You could definitely outmash him. Just his buttons just aren't that big and aren't fast enough that they can win. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of the main things against Meta Knight. Just learn how to DI his stuff, and then he just won't jank you. And when he can't jank you, then most characters are just gonna straight up beat Meta Knight. Pit and Dark Pit are both like just kind of fair characters, I'm gonna be honest, but they do have two main weaknesses. First off, their up Bs, while they do go super far, if you can just kind of like nair right near the ledge, well, they have to grab the ledge, and their up B has no hitbox, and you can just keep doing that with someone like Palutena or like Wolf or whoever, then they're just gonna keep getting hit, and you can just rack up a ton of free damage. Keep that in mind. A lot of people can get back to stage for free, and you can really just get a lot of free damage. Maybe you won't always kill them, but you can get a ton of damage. And secondly, their airspeed is actually surprisingly like super not the best. So a lot of times you can actually like out airspeed them. Like with Squirtle, for example, a lot of times they'll like jump, and then I can like jump super far and hit them with a forward air before they can really do anything, especially because a lot of their hitboxes are kind of small and kind of bad against a lot of sort characters. With Suit Samus, there's two types of players. The first one that goes in, and the second one that just camps. Now, first off, against the Suit Samuses that just camp, the main thing to keep in mind against them is that what you want to do is slowly push up and make sure that they aren't going to hit you with all their just completely safe attacks, like their neutral air, there's air, a lot of those things, like back air. Slowly push up, and eventually they're going to get to the point where either they have to attack you, or where they just jump over you. And if you just do that a few times, you'll kind of notice their pattern of when they start jumping over you, and from there you can try to catch their jump, and from there, well, you know what to do. You can finally start playing against them, and you can finally just start forcing them to actually interact in the game. Some Zero Suits just really play like that. Now, secondly, against a lot of the Zero Suits that are very, very aggressive, what you can actually do against a lot of these characters is hit them pretty high in the air, and also try to hit them before they start to land. Because Zero Suit really likes to land with a lot of her attacks, like landing forward air 2, landing neutral air, landing back air. They don't really want, like, Zero Suit doesn't really want to do rising anything except for like rising back air sometimes, and like rising up air kind of, but usually they want landing. So if you hit them while they're rising, that's the time when Zero Suit kind of struggles. And also Zero Suit doesn't really have that many great tilts, so trying to like out abuse her ground game is a great thing to do as well. Against Wario, you just have to accept the fact that you are essentially just going to die at 40% at one stock, and there's not much you can do against that, because I would say, you know, just try to avoid the up tilt, try to avoid the neutral air, try to avoid the up air, but that's like half of his kit, and that's the stuff he uses the most often. So it's just gonna kind of happen, and like the best thing you can do is just accept that it's gonna happen once per game, and you want to abuse his small range. You want to abuse the fact that, you know, most swords will just beat him out. He has a really big struggle against a lot of campers. He doesn't really do that much against a lot of up B out of shields, and try to focus on that. Try to not get frustrated against Wario. That's the main thing. Getting comboed by him a lot is really frustrating. Getting wafted is very frustrating, and like it's so easy to get frustrated. But if you just like play like you normally do, if you just keep him out a lot of the times and just keep him disadvantaged, which he kind of struggles with as well, you will win. With Snake, I feel like there's just some important things to always keep in mind. First off, unless you're a character that can actually break his up B, a lot of times it's not really worth going off stage for him. Instead, it's worth, you know, him being off stage, him recovering super high, and you try to catch his landing. A lot of times you can actually catch that with a grab, because he's going to pull out a grenade, you get the grab, and then you just get a free combo off of him. That's actually pretty dang nice. Also, his up tilt, unless you parry it, you can't punish it with most characters, so don't try to, because you're going to try to punish it, you're going to get hit right after that. That just kind of sucks. Even though it looks super punishable, it really isn't. As well, I think you always have to remember is that at like 150, 160, depending on your character, %, Snake will finally have a kill confirm of down throw into up tilt, or down throw into forward tilt. And like, for some reason, people just forget this, because he doesn't really have it anywhere before. He doesn't really have a super easy kill confirm off a grab, but like he'll just kind of start moving around, start jumping around, throw a lot of projectiles, and then randomly he'll run up and grab you that %. And you'll be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Well, now you should always see that coming. Know that Snake literally always does that. Like, always does that. So like, keep that in mind. Be mentally prepared for that, and don't let that come and sneakily hit you. Also, I guess some stuff you can remember is that you can, of course, hit the Nikita side B, and you can hit it multiple times, even if they like restart it. So that's pretty nice. And also, if you do happen to learn like what of your hitboxes aren't too big, and how you can just like kind of hit his side, like hit his feet, hit his head, you can sometimes hit him without hitting the grenade. That's pretty hard. That's pretty high level. But figuring out what your character can actually do specifically against the grenade while he's holding it in disadvantage, if he can do that, you'll have a much easier time against Snake. Okay, so the main thing you want to do against Ike is that you want to hit him while he's rising. If you can play pretty close to Ike, and you can see, like, you know, that a lot of Ikes like to go for neutral air, but they like to land with neutral air. If you can know kind of what his timing is, and know that he's going to be doing that, if you can just jump in before he does that, and like before his aerial starts coming out, before he starts landing it all, then you can just keep hitting him, and like he can't do that much. And then he'll have to start doing a lot of his aerials really early. And when he does his aerials early, they're still pretty good, but like they don't get nearly as much mileage. And that's kind of the main thing against Ike. You want to just like minimize the mileage of his really good stuff. As well, actually, Ike's one of those characters where if you can get in, if you can go ham, like he has no great get off moves, and like even his up B is really unsafe if you happen to play really well against that. Tomahawks work super well against Ike. As somebody who's played Pokemon Trainer for a long time, you have to realize that Pokemon Trainer actually has quite a few weaknesses, and I feel like the main weakness is that like Pokemon Trainer just a high percent has no way to get in. Like he literally has no way to get in. If he has to like try to kill you with like Squirtle, like if he can't get a forward tilt, how's he gonna kill you? He's simply not gonna kill you. With Ivysaur, he can try to like back at you and slowly push you off stage, but you can also kind of do that against him. It's not the best. And with Charizard, like he can run up and forward tilt you, or like run up and like fair you, but both of those are unsafe. You can hit him out of both of those, and he can like run up smash, but that's also unsafe. And like he can run up and grab, but that's kind of slow. So like if you keep in mind that like he's really good at all stages of the game, but like sometimes even though he has a lot of kill moves, they're like really unsafe kill moves, you can just kind of bait the Pokemon Trainer player to like throw the game. Like that's what everyone does, and it works so well. Like he finally goes to Charizard, he's super far ahead by like a bajillion percent. He goes Charizard, and then you bait him out, and then you just keep mixing it. He throws out his smash attacks, he keeps throwing out his forward tilt. Those are pretty easy to play around, and then blop, he's gonna lose that match eventually. Not letting Diddy grab his own banana can be one of the best things. Like if you can just keep hyper aggressively pushing in on the Diddy, get him to the corner, keep getting him off stage, going in as much as possible, like he just falls apart. But as well, if he has his banana and like he's slowly patiently waiting for you to play offensively, if you just kind of wait for him to eventually throw it and then just like jump over it and then go super hyper aggressive, then that works super well. I wouldn't recommend to dash dance a ton around Diddy Kong with his banana in his hand. It doesn't work. Wouldn't recommend to attack his shield with his banana in his hand. It doesn't work. You just kind of have to bait it out and then you go in. With myself, I feel like a lot of Lucases like to jump a lot, and they also like to spam Pika Fire a lot. And against both those things, first off, if they jump, if you're like diagonally below Lucas or diagonally above Lucas, he like can't do anything. His up air won't hit you, his down air won't hit you, his forward air will also miss unless he times it right. So like, those are really good places to be when he's jumping, honestly. He can kind of struggle with that, and you can just pretty easily edge guard him because that's just what you can do against Lucas. And secondly, when he spams PK Fire a lot, it's one of those things where like if you just kind of get used to when he PK fires, you can just kind of hop over it, and then you're in there. And then Lucas has a pretty good close range game, but like a lot of his combos don't really work. A lot of times you will get more mileage out of it than him. And if the Lucas player doesn't know how to do like the Z, the double jump Z cancels, I don't know what those are called exactly, but if they don't know how to do that, you can kind of just get in, you can kind of out combo him. And yeah, you just have to be really patient. You have to realize that, you know, he will have a lot of these projectiles, but if you like slowly walk up with a lot of projectile users, you will eventually get in. He will eventually get into disadvantage, and then he'll just kind of suck there. Oh boy, okay, this is the spicy one. So Sonic. We have a lot of Sonics where I am, and it's kind of funny. Now, it kind of depends on what level of Sonic the player is and what they're willing to do, because some Sonic players actually go in super ham. And against those ones, you just kind of have to like learn how to preemptively hit him and go in from there. So that can be pretty cool. Those are actually pretty fun to play against. But I know what you guys are mainly thinking about, a lot of the campy Sonics. Now, the first thing you have to realize is that if your character, or if you can play a character like Cloud, where you can just like charge a limit or charge a thing, or like Hero, and they actually just keep camping you, then like you can get your thing and then you can go in and then you'll be at an advantage. And even if like Sonic has some really good stuff against you, like you're still in that advantage for a little bit. So that's a really good thing to keep in mind. And a thing I like to do, like platform camp until you get your thing, then go in, then platform camp until you get your thing, then go in. Sonic kind of struggles against that, actually, which is kind of funny. Secondly, keep in mind that, like, if you're at the advantage, you don't have to go in against Sonic. Like, I know that he's timing you out. I know that you want to get in there. Like, it's so annoying. I hate it. I hate it too. But if, like, he wants to time you out and you have less percent than him, time him out. Like, that's legit it. Like, just realize that he's in the disadvantage right here. He has to come in, and if he's not coming in, too bad for him. Like, he's gonna lose that game. I think if you change your mindset to that, as kind of like a, you know, you're scumming me out, so I'm gonna scum you back out in return until you actually hold in. That's kind of what I do. It works pretty well. Not against every Sonic, but at least for me, it's had pretty high success rate. Against King Dedede, just not running into his stuff is kind of the way. Like, you don't have to be super defensive, you don't have to be like super duper big brain or anything, but a lot of the times, like, you just hold forward a little bit too fast, and then you just like run into the Gordo, or you just like run into his forward tail, or run into his forward air, all that stuff. Like, you just kind of wait for him to throw out the Gordo, and then either he throws it out far, you jump over, and then you go in, or he throws it out right next to him, you just kind of wait for him to do something with it, because it'll eventually disappear, and then you go in, and then you just kind of hit him, and you just kind of keep hitting him, because the disadvantage is doo-doo, and you get him off stage, and you kill him, and rinse repeat, and that's kind of the DDD matchup. Just don't run into his stuff. The one thing I love about Olimar compared to a lot of the other campers is that, like, once you get in on Olimar, he can't do anything, and that's so nice. I feel like that's how all the campers should be designed, but so many of them have great up out of shields, so many of them have great narrative shields, like, you know, even like Young Link, I guess. But like, when you're in on Olimar, he can like nair you, or like up smash out of shield, which isn't nearly as good anymore, and if you're behind him, it doesn't really work anyways, and like, yo, that's all he can do, and that's great, and that's kind of what you want Olimar to be. You kind of want to just like slowly play around his projectiles. I'm gonna say that with every projectile character. Slowly play around him, nair through a lot of projectiles, and then eventually when you get on him, just like never let him go. Just literally never let the Olimar player go, and he will be in a ride for his life. Now, additionally with that, I'm going to be saying that a lot of his aerials do act like sword aerials, so please keep that in mind. You can't just like clank through them anymore, which is pretty annoying. But they also don't have way too much range, and he doesn't have that much airspeed, and he doesn't have that much ground speed. So the main thing against Olimar isn't to necessarily camp him out, because like he can't just keep spamming you, so you can't really do that, but it's to kind of play directly around where he wants to be. With Lucario, the main thing is to just make sure that you don't get scared, because like some people, they play against Lucario and then just like they throw the match so hard because they see him at 160%, they're like, oh no, and then they just slowly jump into his neutral B over and over again. They just jump into his back air over and over again, and they throw that match. They throw the first stock, they throw the second stock, and then they're too far behind really to come back. Keep in mind your kill confirms. Keep in mind how you like to get kills compared to how he likes to get kills. A lot of times his main ways to get kills are you to just jump in into his forward smash, or jump into his up smash, or jump into his neutral B. And if you don't let him do that, he like actually kind of struggles to get kills sometimes. Well, your character may not. Your character may have a lot of kill confirms or just a lot of really strong attacks. So like play very smart. Don't let yourself get tilted. Don't let yourself get afraid. And if you don't, you're probably going to beat him because it's not that amazing of a character other than just like that mental part of him. Okay, so R.O.B is actually nutty. Like, his neutral is so good. His down tilt, his forward tilt, his neutral B. Like, there is no super free way to beat him other than the fact that, again, a lot of characters can, like, kind of out aerial him, like, as far as speed. But that's kind of it. Because he's so good in most aspects. But the main thing you have to keep in mind against R.O.B is that he has a very bad disadvantage. He can only essentially nair to get down. So if you want to beat R.O.B, the main way to do it is to just go into training mode and see how much damage you can possibly get out of one hit, out of like your forward tilt, or your up tilt, or your up air, or your neutral air, or anything. Any of your combo starters. See how you can 100% maximize that on R.O.B and just make him take pain, because that's his main weakness. His main weakness is he gets into disadvantage and he takes damage, and you don't want to just get like one hit or two hits, because that's not that worth it. And as well, I guess playing in a way where you focus on like getting your combo starters instead of just like trading one hit can also be pretty good, because R.O.B is really good at trading. He's really good at like just hitting you once and then you're in a tech chase situation. So like focusing more on stuff like getting a landing forward air as Wolf instead of just like a rising forward air, that can be more important against R.O.B than against a lot of characters. I guess finally, just like don't get baited into trying to like edge guard him, because a lot of times you'll get reversal and die. But instead, wait at the ledge, because he doesn't really have that much options against ledge trap other than like forward air, which a lot of characters can beat up pretty well. I feel like a lot of Toon Link players are actually somewhat aggressive, which is actually pretty cool for like a campy character. Because like just camping all the time, I don't know, it doesn't seem to work with Toon Link a lot. But the thing to keep in mind, as you know, playing against a aggressive Toon Link, is the fact that a lot of the times when they throw their projectiles, the thing with Toon Link is that they kind of have like two modes. They're either very campy, or they start to go super aggressive. But it's actually pretty easy to tell when they're going to do which, depending on what they're doing. First off, if they go for a lot of the neutral B and a lot of side B, they're probably going to be camping, probably going to be using a lot of, you know, forward tilt, up tilt, keeping you away, and keep that in mind. Well, if they start to pull a lot of bombs, a lot of times with the bombs, they like want to throw those, they want to jump in, they want to get that forward air, want to get that back air, want to start that combo. So keeping that in mind, that there's like those two different versions of Toon Link that people like to play, is a really good thing. Now as well, a lot of Toon Links will jump in, they'll throw their bomb, and they'll go in with their bomb. But if you know that, and if you know kind of where the bomb goes and where the trajectory of the bomb is, you can kind of just like get out of the way where the bomb's going. The Toon Link will a lot of times follow the bomb. And if you get out really late, like just barely in the nick of time, they're going to be like just kind of stuck. Like they're where they think the bomb's going to work. They're where they think the bomb's going to hit. And then you can hit them from there. Then you can get them in disadvantage. They have a pretty bad disadvantage, pretty mediocre recovery. And then you're golden. Wolf is probably the most fair, well-designed, balanced character in a lot of aspects. So I'm going to say like, if you want to beat Wolf, the main thing to do is just to try to figure out how your opponent plays and to just like grind that matchup. Just grind a lot of your VODs, just grind a lot of your things on how he's playing, because like there's like 5 billion different ways to play Wolf. He can play super aggressive, kind of aggressive, bait and punish, super defensive. It's really hard to say one exact thing to like do against Wolf. Now, the one thing that is really good against Wolf is just like keeping him on ledge, and I think that's like the main thing you want to practice, because when Wolf is on ledge, or like he's on ledge and he has to like get up, his main options are like to get up and grab or to like get up and nair, and that's it. And if you can make so that every time he's on ledge he's just like stuck there, and I guess as well if you can actually edge guard him, which is kind of nutty too, then you'll finally start to win that matchup. Villager's another character that I've seen like twice. Actually, I think I've seen once in tournament, and all you really had to do was just stay on a platform and he lost. Like, that's it. Essentially how that strategy works is you stay on a platform, eventually they try to attack you, you just kind of fall down with the aerial, you hit them, they don't have that many great moves against that, and then you just kind of win against the villager. I feel like that works pretty often. He doesn't have that much moves against that. If you just wait for his tree to disappear and wait for him to throw out his Lloyd and then go in, that's a really good strategy as well. And yeah, you can just kind of out hitbox him as well. He has a lot of pretty darn bad weaknesses. He's not terrible of a character, but those are kind of things you can focus on. With Mega Man, a really important thing to keep in mind is that he actually doesn't have a good at his shield option at all unless he has his Metal Blade. So if you can try to like just keep him in his shield, which a lot of times you're actually like kind of not supposed to do in this game, because they can just up you out of shield or nail you out of shield or whatever. But if you can do that against Mega Man, like he's just kind of stuck, and that just kind of sucks for the Mega Man. Another thing to keep in mind is that when he does his forward tilt, he has to like walk a certain distance with the forward tilt. So it actually is like pretty easy to see when he's starting it, where he's going to go and try to hit him at like essentially where he's going to walk to. If you can jump over the projectiles, of course, which, you know, you can't always, but sometimes you can, and that's pretty decent. The final thing to remember is that with his leaf shield, like, you just have to take it. You just have to shield that entire thing. Don't let it go early, otherwise it's just going to be hitting you. And there you go with that. Wii Fit Trainer, more than any other characters, is someone that, like, if you can out movement them, they just lose. Because, like, if you can just play at certain angles against Wii Fit, they lose. Because that's just how their hitboxes work. Like, if you can stay in front of Wii Fit, but not super high in front, just like in front or below in front, then like in the air, she just can't hit you. She literally has nothing that can hit you. If you like play against Wii Fit with a neutral layer and you stay like above her, like quite a bit above, like that just can't hit you. And like even with like her up tilt, like sometimes it just misses. Like it's weird. The number one thing I'd recommend to beat Wii Fit is to go online, look at all their hitboxes, and see where they don't have a good hitbox and abuse those to get in. Now, a second thing I'd like to recommend to you is to learn how to instantly run off ledge and grab ledge, because a lot of Wii Fits just play kind of a campy, ledge campy Wii Fit. And while that is kind of annoying and some characters can't actually like hit under the ledge that well, which is really where it sucks, if you can just make sure that you are really good at like parrying the ball and then running off, grabbing the ledge when she's on the ledge, and then hitting her with like a back air, if you do that like 4 times in a row, she won't be able to ledge camp you. Like, she'll realize, okay, I'll have to actually play the game. I'll have to figure out what I want to do, how I want to camp instead. Those are kind of the main things to do. Rosalina and Luma is kind of a cool puppet character because it's pretty obvious what you want to do against her, and that's mainly just like play pretty smart against Luma and slowly try to like beat out Luma, slowly try to kill out Luma, hit him with really strong attacks, get him off the cliff, and then go super ham against Rosalina. That's kind of the most obvious thing to do against her, but like it just works, and it works really, really well. I think another thing to keep in mind against Rosalina is that like in the air, her main option is just to spam a lot of neutral air, which is pretty good, but if you catch her rising like Ike, if you essentially play against her like Ike in a lot of ways with her aerials, then like her neutral air won't do much. It'll hit you and it'll do like, I don't know, 10% whatever, and then you're out of there. While she's doing it while it's landing, it's a lot better. The strat against Little Mac is as lame as you guys all know already. Literally sit on a platform more than any other character and he loses. Like if you're on triplats, especially like if you're on Battlefield, I've done this so many times because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with Little Mac, but you win. Like you straight up win that game. Greninja's out of shield game and his grab are both his main weaknesses. Other than that, he has a good recovery, pretty good damage, really good combos, all that stuff. But like if you can get him in shield, that's where you want him. If you can just use a lot of attacks that like it's really obvious that the way to beat this is to shield, then he'll start shielding more and then you can beat him with that. So I think that's the main thing. And also shielding a lot against Greninja can work because like he has to start running up, he has to start grabbing, and then you can start baiting that. Those two things alone, mainly just stuff around shield, is what you really want to focus with. And other than that, he's just kind of like a pretty sly, good character. With the Mii fighters, you want to like 100% look at what moves they're actually doing. and realize that some of these moves can kill you at like 0%. Mii fighters neutral into up B, like 2 of those. One of them drags you up and then down, you're dead. One just helicopter kick, you're also dead. You have to just make sure that you know what they have. Like, a lot of people just are too lazy to do that. But if you make sure that you know what they have, and then if you just like out frame data them, out hitbox them, which pretty much every character can, then you're gonna win. Because other than that, they're okay, but they're kind of mediocre. So just not getting janked is the main thing against the Miis. If you're a character that can kind of force Palutena to play a little bit more grounded, that can be really, really good, because she still has a really good grab and she still has a really good dash attack, but forcing her to like stay out of the air because you have Aura Sphere or because you have a lot of projectiles you keep throwing in the air, and you force her a lot more fair, grounded game, that can make it a lot easier against a lot of Palutena players. Now, additionally, she actually doesn't have that great out of shield options, so especially if you're behind her. So using a lot of like jump towards her, don't attack her while she's on shield, and like get behind her and then go for stuff, that can actually work really well. Like, instead of tomahawks, I don't even know what to grab that, like a spookers attack. That could work really well against Palutena. Against Pac-Man, I feel like kind of like the main thing to do is to just kind of bait out a lot of his projectiles. Like, what I like to do a lot is that he'll, charge up a neutral B, he'll get it to like the 3rd or 4th level, and then you jump towards him and he's like, yo, he's coming in, I'm gonna throw out this projectile, I'm gonna throw out this bell, and then you just like drop, or you just like go back a little bit, and then his projectile's out there and he's like, oh, he didn't go in, and then you go in, and then you outframe data him, and then you out everything him. Robin's kind of weird because like there's 2 things you can do. Now, first off, you can just be like a real scum against the Robin and keep jumping towards him and make him thinking that you're gonna go in, and then he has to use his attacks against you, his side B, his neutral B, his forward air, all that stuff, and then you go back and he wastes one thing of like meter, and then you just keep doing that, and you wait until sword's broken or wait till side B's broken, and then go in while you have the advantage. That's a thing you can do. Now, if you don't want to do that, because that's a little scummy, you also have to realize that a lot of his grounded options aren't the best. So if you could force a grounded game again, kind of like Palutena, that can work greatly. And yeah, that's kind of the main things to do against Robin. Also remember that he is very slow. He has very big aerials, but he is very slow. So if you can kind of use your movement to out move his aerials and out move his side B and all that stuff, then you're probably going to beat the character. JoeK is a character of many strengths, but he does have one weakness, and that's that a lot of his aerials and tilts and everything take a long time to come out. So the main thing you want to remember about JoeK is that when he uses a lot of his aerials and a lot of his everything, he does have to kind of like back up a little bit to give himself space to go for those. So if you can just keep slowly forcing him to back up until he's like at the ledge, then like he's stuck. And that's exactly where you want JoeK, because even though he can like Monado jump over you, get to the other side, and you have to rinse repeat, if you just keep doing that, you keep making so that he's stuck, that's kind of exactly where you want JoeK to be. Okay, so top level Bowser Jr.'s, it's a completely different game, but I'm talking about the average level player, and the average level Bowser Jr. uses a lot of side B, like a lot of side B. And I find the thing about this move is that you can learn the parry timing, and you can't just parry it like all the time and then hit him right out of it, but that can be kind of hard, and you can sometimes like jump out of it, so that is debatable. The more important thing to do against this move, I think, is just realize that like you can just kind of move out of its way and then hit him when he eventually has to either cancel it or jump. And like, then if you just keep moving out of its way and you just don't let the super armor beat you and you don't try to challenge it, if you just let it do its thing and then you hit him, like, it doesn't do that much. It honestly doesn't do that much. It's really good. Also, thing to keep in mind is that if Bowser Jr. up Bs and then air dodges and then goes for his hammer, his air dodge is the best in the game. It literally only has, I think, 29 frames of lag when he's in like no clown car. So like, just don't play against that. Just be patient. Wait for him to have to land and then hit him after that. Duck Hunt's a really interesting and intricate character, and I feel like the way to beat Duck Hunt is instead of just always spamming on him 100% and going super ham, which can work, but sometimes like he can side B out of that, he can neutral B out of that. He has some options. I feel like the main thing is to just like kind of pretend that you're going in, have him throw out a side B, have him get his can on the field, and then just like let those hit the ground, let those do their thing, let him throw a down B out. Eventually run up, try to hit that down B. Make sure that he just has all of his stuff out on the field, and it's all just kind of like not doing anything for him. And if you can have that be the case for that 1 second, then you can go in and all he has is his aerials and his tilts, which are okay, but really not the best. And that's kind of your time to strike. And you have to just kind of keep on setting up the situation. Now, other than that, some characters, like sword characters, can just like maul right through his projectiles, just like forward air him, and there you go, you're in. But if you aren't one of those characters, or if you don't want to kind of outspam him, which some characters can definitely do, that's what I like to do. So as much as I hate to say it, the time that I was playing Ryu and Ken, I realized that if your opponent just doesn't want to interact and just jumps a lot, like, it's hard to do much as Ryu and Ken. So that's kind of the lame way to beat out these characters, is just to lame them out. Like, they are extremely lame out easy characters because they're not super fast and they don't have super good things unless your opponent is playing a nice fair game on the ground against you. So yeah, that's kind of how to do it. I guess as well, you have to remember that, you know, with their down B, multi-hits break through that's the obvious thing, but also a lot of times they will be like, whatever they're landing, ready to use the down B. So if you like jump underneath them and then you like quickly hold right or quickly hold left and pretty much 50-50 it, sometimes you'll actually follow where they're going to be down being, and then you can hit them right after it anyways, even if they happen to block one of your attacks. Or shielding a lot against Cloud at like kill percents is so hard for Cloud to deal with. Like, he can throw his forward air and like his back air, and he can just keep doing it, and you can just keep charging up your shield again, going for that, and then just playing your own game. And like, he can't grab you and kill you. His grabs don't even throw you far at all, even if he does get a grab. That like sucks. As well, a thing that like kind of sucks for Cloud is that I definitely recommend just timing out his limit whenever you can. It only lasts 15 seconds. He eventually will have to throw it out, and like, even though sometimes, you know, he's eventually going to hit you sometimes, like, just making so that he can minimize the use of that as much as possible is really good against Cloud. Other than that, he's just a pretty overall solid character, but he is pretty gimpable. So if you are really struggling against the current Cloud player, kind of playing a game where you don't interact that much until you can eventually like movement push your opponent near the ledge, and then try to fight a lot right there, where if you happen to get a hit, he's probably going to die. Well, if he happens to get a hit, it's not going to be that bad. That's kind of what you want to do against him. Against Corrin, just like a lot of her stuff doesn't work anymore. Like, side B doesn't really work, neutral B doesn't really work. Kind of sucks now. Up B's not that good, really easy to edge guard. So like, a lot of people just think this character isn't that great, and honestly, not terrible, but not that great. You can catch a lot of the rising aerials like Ike, but it's just kind of worse. And yeah, that's kind of, it's like the previous swordsman failures, but just worse and just slower and easier to camp out. Shielding against Bayonetta is so busted, like, it's so boring. But like, playing super patiently against Bayonetta and shielding a lot, super busted. And I feel like against Bayonetta, you just have to like look up a lot of Bayonetta games and realize how she plays her game, how she like catches a lot of your jumps, and just like, if you can learn how to play her game, if you can learn how to SE out of her stuff, like, she just can't do anything. Like, you can watch some people play against Bayonetta and she just has nothing that she can do. But if you don't know how to play her game, if you just let her do whatever she wants and let her walk all over you, well, then she's like a mid-tier that's like the most busted mid-tier. Obviously, Inkling's biggest weakness is that unless you're getting a roller, you can't really kill with this character. So I feel like the main thing to try to do against a lot of Inkling players is try to either bait them into rollering a lot and then like hit them with a down air or a back air by just like kind of running back and forth on the ground, but only when they're far away, they start to roller, and then you're like, hey, got him. You see it coming. Or secondly, just like making so that you're at high percent, like maybe you're losing, you're at super high percent, you're like 100% and they're at like 40. Well, you just try to trade as much as possible, because like, you're gonna be trading and they're gonna be slowly losing that game, because that's just kind of how Inkling works. So those are the two main things I think you kind of want to focus on against Inkling. Otherwise, it's just a pretty, you know, general, like Wolf, decent matchup that you just kind of have to learn how to beat your opponent. But this is the type of character that I feel like you really have to whiff punish a lot, because he actually has really good attacks that are really big, that are pretty fast, but they do have enough end lag that like he can neutral air and then you can come in quickly and hit him out of it. And that's kind of what you want to be, because he has a really big hitbox, really easy to combo, really bad recovery, really bad disadvantage, kind of all the negatives of a big body without being heavy, as everyone always says. So yeah, I think that's kind of the main thing you want to focus on. Don't try to play neutral 100% fair, trading hitboxes all the time, because if you do that, he'll probably actually win. Number one thing of Simon and Richter to remember is that if Simon gets you on ledge and he has the down B going on, the best thing to do in like the majority of cases is just to let the fire come down and hit you, and you just like fall off the cliff, and then you can jump up, grab the ledge again, and a lot of times you can jump off the ledge before you can actually get another down B going, which like nobody realizes, but it's actually like so busted. As well, of course, some things that a lot of these characters like to do is just like mash up the out of shield when you're hitting their shield, but it's like kind of slow. So if you just like nair their shield and then spot dodge, a lot of times they'll miss the up out of shield, or you know, roll back, whatever you want to do, they'll miss that, and then from there, guess what? They're now in the air. You can now combo them. They're now in disadvantage. It sucks. The final thing against these characters is that when they're off stage, remember that their forward and back air won't grab ledge if you're in the way. So even if like they hit you, sometimes you can still kill them just by like being there. So a lot of times it's worth it. If you trade a hitbox, you're probably going to kill them as well. That's kind of what you want to do against them. King K. Rool is literally the master of don't trade hits with him, because if you just wait for him to throw out moves and whiff punish them, you win, while if you try to trade hits, you lose. I think we all kind of figured that out in the first few months, like even with the side B, with literally everything. You just have to be like, play patient, and if you let him throw out attacks first, you're gonna win the game. Isabelle kind of wins games because the opponent A, either gets really bored and eventually like starts going in and starts running into stuff, or B, because they just straight up start running into stuff. So I think the main thing to just keep in mind against Isabelle is that like she can't really go in super easily, she can't really go ham super easily, and a lot of her stuff takes a while to set up. So if you just like have her throw out her fishing rod and then she's like just kind of stuck there, then you can kind of go in. If you have her down B, well, you can just kind of wait for it to disappear or try to hit it with a projectile, then you can go in. You just kind of have to be patient. You have to kind of like peel through the layers of the onion that is Isabelle. But if you make it through, then you have a character that has a really bad disadvantage and kind of exploded recovery, which is nice. Okay, Incineroar is like so annoying because I like to play the game most of the time, even though I'm recommending not doing this. I like to play the game most of the time when I'm holding in, I'm going ham, unless I really have to win that game. And that's like the Incineroar in a nutshell. Like, you want to hold in on him. It feels like you should, but like if you hold in on Incineroar, he's gonna win. Like, his hitboxes are so good. He has really good frame data, really good combos, super good kill power in certain moves, not all his moves, but pretty good kill power, and really good against shields, good against most stuff. And his main weakness is like that all his stuff is good, except for that like he is so slow. So the way to beat him is just to force whiff punishes on every single attack. Like, literally just makes it whenever he does anything, you camp him out and you whiff punish him. And like, you know, some characters you can't just keep him in a disadvantage. You can't just edgeguard him super easily. But like in general, that's how it works against Incineroar. It's kind of lame, and I don't like doing that myself. But like, that's how the character is programmed to lose, because other than that, he is super good at most things. Against Piranha Plant, you just kind of have to remember that like Piranha Plant is going to be using neutral B a lot, going to be using side B a lot, and like you just can't attack them from above, and that's okay. Like, you just literally can't, because you'll be hit by that. And like, you just have to be really patient, and you have to wait for them to essentially use the neutral B and suck it up, and then wait again, or have them use the neutral B, have them throw it out on the ground, and then go in from there. You have to wait for them to kind of just waste that side B. You just kind of have to wait for the Piranha Plant to like waste their resources, and then you can go in, and then you can just bop this character. But if you don't happen to have them waste the resources, it can be pretty hard. Of course, the number one thing against JoeK is just like trying to essentially time him out. Of course, the number one thing against JoeK is like, how do you play against Arsene? And honestly, the main way to play against it is to not like run away and hide at the edge of the cliff. The main thing to do is just like try to stay where you are, keep your ground, and not interact way too much though. Mainly make sure that the JoeK player has to waste a lot of his time. The JoeK player has to take a lot of risks, because he does. Because if he doesn't, well, he's going to be wasting all that time with Arsene. So wait for him to go in first. Try to play around that. If you know exactly how he goes in every time, then maybe hit him before he even starts to go in those certain situations, and get him out of Arsene. And then you're playing against small JoeK. Against small JoeK, just make sure that you don't get hit by that forward air 1, because otherwise he doesn't have that many kill moves, and it's pretty obvious. Just like, look, if he's short hopping right in front of you, he's probably going to go for that. Just like either parry it, because it's actually pretty obvious the timing, or if you don't happen to have to that, just like run out of the way and continue from there. Okay, so Hero is kind of weird, because the first thing is that Hero has a terrible disadvantage and a pretty questionable recovery. So like, he does have some weaknesses, but like if Hero is just like away from you all the time and like getting his buffs, it kind of sucks. So like the main thing is just like, you have to go ham. You have to just out frame data Hero, which pretty much everyone can, and just like get him a disadvantage and just bop him. But sometimes that doesn't happen, and when that doesn't happen, and when he actually gets his auras, or I guess when he gets his spells going on, like his Oomph and his Accelerator and all that stuff, a lot of the times the hero actually goes like a little bit too offensive. Like, sometimes I think heroes like forget like the character's frame data is kind of bad. So a lot of the times, like at that point, they're jumping in on you, and then you could just like dodge a lot of their attacks, and then before they have enough time to go for another attack, you hit them. And then you get them in disadvantage, and then rinse repeat. I think those are kind of the main things. And as well, just learn what all the spells do, and make sure that you don't run into them like an idiot, because yeah, if you do that, you're just gonna die. Against Banjo Kazooie is another one of those characters where you just have to make sure that you don't run into his attacks like an idiot, and if you don't, you'll probably win. Because yeah, it's a great character, but like the main thing is that just people run into the forward air, people run into the down B, people run into the side B, because they're just very impatient. They just want to get in. And like the thing about Banjo is that like once you get them in disadvantage, the disadvantage isn't that good, so you can actually get a lot of damage. So like, yeah, just be patient. Always keep in mind that you'll be getting that damage eventually, and also don't try to edgeguard the side B too much, because like they don't have that great of a, you know, getting off the ledge option, honestly. So just wait for that instead. Try to like jump out a little bit so that they feel like they're forced to side B, and so that they waste that, but then after that, just kind of play off the ledge. If you're playing against a Terry and they're at high percent, like, you know that the Terry is going to spam a lot of specials. So like if you just shield a decent amount, like, or if you just play around and like you run around the middle of the stage and you feel like, oh, what am I gonna do? And the Terry's like, well, I think he's gonna keep running around. I'll go for a Buster Wolf and catch him while he's running. No one ever does that. Like, a lot of Terrys, even me when I'm playing the game, I'm like, no one does that. Like, blah blah blah. Like, a lot of Terrys, like, they just play in a way that they just hope their opponent's stupid, honestly, and go for a lot of specials in those situations. So if you just play smartly and don't let him hit you with those in that certain situation, which happens a lot, like, you're just gonna beat that character. As well, you have to realize that Terry doesn't have the best movement and doesn't have the best like angles for offense. Like, sometimes he can go ham, sometimes he can like dental your shield or nair your shield or jab your shield, but like he kind of has to go in like the same angles. He kind of has to like short hop in at the same angle, because that's just kind of how all this stuff works. Like at a pretty low angle, goes in and then starts attacking your shield. While if you can just like not let him get in that way, if you can just swat him away before he does that, it really sucks. And if also you can just camp him out, it also really sucks because he doesn't have that many good anti-camping tools. Against Byleth, I feel like A, being really short can help a lot, and B, realizing that like a lot of their main kill moves are super like volatile and super risky, and if you can just like make them throw those out and then punish them super hard, that can be pretty good. Like their down smash, their down air, their not even their side beat, that doesn't even kill, I forget. But like their up air, a lot of these things you can just kind of like bait out, and then you bait them out, and then you beat them. I feel like Byleth is one of those characters more than anyone else where either A, you get in there, you out frame data them, or B, you bait out a lot of their attacks if they have a lot of end lag, and then you get in there, and then you beat them up. With that all in mind, that's going to be my ideas about how to beat every character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Some characters are very specific, while other characters don't really have a specific weakness. It's more of just they have some bad stuff about them, and then you have to learn how to beat your opponent, which is just kind of how it is sometimes. Sometimes there aren't specific things you can abuse. It's more about learning the current matchups, and of course with every single matchup, keep in mind, yeah, you do have to like learn how to beat your opponent. These are just a few ways to help you a little bit. With that in mind though, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below what you thought. Also comment down below the word Dark Samus is sick. And we'll see if you got to this point of the video with that. I don't know. I always like doing that. With that all said, hope you guys enjoyed. At the top of my screen, there will be a card for a playlist of more videos like this. And see you all in the next video. So, as always, guys, hope you enjoyed and have a smashing day.